It's 11:11. Make a wish.
Before we continue our conversation with the men's panel, I would just like to wish my mother, a fellow zebra, a happy 70th birthday. I know you might be thinking about this birthday like I've been thinking about this birthday. I love you, and I will see you tomorrow. Let's get back to the boys.
So, what about your family? You kind of mentioned, Doug, your daughter, then maybe your grandmother, maybe skipping a generation. There's no men in your family. It's just kind of you, right?
Yeah, that is correct.
Mm.
There are no men in my lineage that exhibit any bendiness that I'm aware of. And my descendants are two girls, and yeah, one is diagnosed, and the other is somewhat bendy. I think she would definitely be diagnosable in the new HSD diagnosis.
Yeah.
Um,
So we also, I don't know if I heard everything when we were talking about comorbids and that sort of thing. So you've talked about the tumor in the neck, hypermobility, special kind of issue. What on a day-to-day basis, like, are you dealing with?
Maintaining my hydration. It's something that I'm constantly aware of, and if I fall behind, I will start to see colors and all that fun stuff.
Do you have any like tricks to remember to hydrate? Because I struggle bad with that.
Yeah, that was the my entire life. If there was water or any liquid in front of me, it would disappear,
Mhm.
and then I would just sit.
Drink.
Yeah, and then yeah, everybody drink, and
Yeah,
then
right.
if there was something in front of me, it would disappear, and then I would just sit there with an empty cup,
I
saying,
do that
"Dang, I'm
too, and I'll
thirsty.
be like, dang,
Dang, I'm thirsty, but that's
guess I'll
empty."
just sit here some more.
That's exactly it. So a couple years ago, when the whole realizing that I was chronically dehydrated and all that, I got a bigger cup, to sit in front of me. But also, I sort of made the flip in my head because neurodivergent stuff, and I sort of turned myself OCD on this manner. Is when I take the last sip of that cup, before I do anything else, I fill it up again. I don't sit it down, I don't finish an email, I don't, do anything else. I fill it up, and then it can sit back in front of me full, which it never does, but it's never empty and out of my
That's
hand.
good. Yeah.
And that has made a big difference.
Do you also have a high sodium intake?
Yeah. Yeah. Um,
That was
yeah.
big for me. When I was,
Huge.
getting diagnosed, I did not understand how impactful it was to keep just. Now what I do is I take sodium, I take potassium with my meds morning,
Yeah.
noon, not at night, but morning and noon, and then I drink an electrolyte beverage in the morning, like as pretty much my first thing, and then hydrate through the day.
Yeah. My typical day is 150 plus ounces of water.
Yeah.
Sometimes 200, almost 2 gallons of water. Typically,
I don't move around enough to drink that much.
yeah, typically 10 to 15 grams of sodium. That's not salt. That's just the sodium part,
Yeah. 10 to
Um,
15. Wow. Yeah.
yeah.
You're getting it.
And then I've recently started mixing my own sort of electrolyte mix.
Mhm.
I looked at the LMNT, their like ratios of sodium, potassium, and magnesium, and I bought the ingredients, and I've been adding that to a powder to make stuff. So
Yeah. That's
it
that's
seems
nice.
to work. It
Yeah.
seems to work.
So how else do you
Huh.
guys manage your
Interesting.
symptoms
Thanks for
besides,
sharing, Doug.
recipes for electrolytes?
I'd be happy to share.
I'm working on a mag spray, so
Yeah.
But I try to keep moving. I think, as we mentioned, I do like facilities work. Like, Brian is out and about in facility stuff, doing things just the same. And so I'm responsible for a number of large buildings, and I can be at my desk for 20 minutes and then get up and go on a quarter-mile walk. I can go up a ladder on the roof. I have free run of a 100,000 square foot building at any point in time that's on 20 acres of land. So
That's how I was.
my
That's how I
job
was
allows
2
me
years ago.
to stay moving.
Yeah,
And
no, that's awesome. I'm sorry for jumping in
no,
there. I just spoke over you, but yeah, no, having worked the data centers, I'm sitting here going, man, that was me. Up until about 2 years ago when I started having the surgeries and everything, that was me. And so this is the last surgery that I'm having for a while, and I'm very big on keeping it simple. I use kind of three. I'm going to drop another deep wisdom bomb here. Okay. So my whole take on it is I take care of three things: mind, body, spirit. Right. Um, for mind, I make sure that I prioritize doing something fun for myself. This is for the autistic part of me, because if I hyper focus and just let myself work, I'll work for 15 hours and not look up. Right. And so I make a conscious effort to do something for me, something selfish. Right. Like I'm 35 and I've been sacrificing myself for, you know, for only myself, really. So at 35, I'm deciding, that's my mind thing. I do something for myself to help my mind. For my body, it's, again, exercise. I like right now, because I'm recovering from the surgeries, I've been doing a lot of just core work, planks, and like isometric stuff. And I'm really just now not even starting that. I probably won't even start doing that until, not seriously, for another week or so. But I use the POT protocol, Children's Hospital of Philadelphia POTS rehab program. You can look that up on Google, and it's a whole laid out like 9-month recovery plan to get you back from deconditioned to being able to run through data centers, quarter miles at a time. And the best thing is it uses a row machine. So my dirty floor, but I got a row machine back there that I just hop on, and you start with 4 minutes, 2 minutes of rest, 2 minutes of rowing, 2 minutes of rest, right? And you go from there very slowly, but it doesn't take very much time. And the last thing is for spirit. I meditate. It's different than doing something selfish. It's not meditate. I said I do something for my mind, right? That has to be engaging. That is active. For the spirit, it's more consciously relaxing, and I really like meditating. That's what I do. But I understand people do prayer, people do whatever. I think it's really important that you take care of yourself in that realm too. Journal something, because like Luna said, we've all got a little bit of trauma and things to get over as we get diagnosed with this stuff too. So that's my kind of Spoonies 3 tips for living with EDS right now.
Those are really good. Thank you. Did you have any?
I don't even know what we're on.
Can you guys hear me okay, by the way?
How's the sound? Can you hear us?
It broke up just a little bit there.
There you go.
Okay.
You came back.
Is it back? Okay. Tiffany was saying my sound is low, so I was worried. So, Brandon, I know you're just so freshly diagnosed. So I know you've been thinking about this for a while. So how have you been coping? What helps you manage your symptoms?
So I was seeing a physical therapist for a while, and eventually insurance stops covering that. So I got a personal trainer, and just like a very good personal trainer. He has a lot of experience with different kinds of bodies, and he was a physical therapist at one point. So he knows the body, and I basically tell him what's wrong that day, and we kind of exercise around it. His whole goal is that he wants me to build up the muscles that hold me in place in a very safe and controlled way. And I've noticed I've been falling completely apart a lot less, which is it's great. It's wonderful. Things still, there are things that can't be exercised. There's things that can't be fixed, but it's something, and it makes me feel like I have a little bit of control over the situation.
A little bit more, right? Yeah,
Yeah, and that's
actually,
kind
so
of
I don't talk about this a lot, but I used to do like serious weightlifting, and I haven't talked about it much on the show, but part of my challenges were some hip pain. And so, that was the first time I got diagnosed with hypermobility, but I had no idea what it was. And the physical therapist was like, all of your large muscle groups are dominant, and you need to stop like weightlifting big and heavy. You need to start focusing on those, like the accessory muscles and that sort of thing. And so that's something like I've found in a pattern with a lot of us. We might be very strong in isolated moves or ways, but then we have like these dead spots. And like, for example, like in your bottom, your glute maximus, that big muscle, we may be very strong there, but your glute medius, the one that, rotates out laterally, is very weak and you can't even turn on. Or we may have, like, I'm quad dominant, like my thighs do a lot of the work. So my hamstrings are always in pain and tight, or your traps are always just things like that, because our traps are trying to hold up our head instead of our neck muscles. So working on strengthening your neck in certain ways is really valuable to hypermobility of your neck and headaches, for example. So I'm so glad you kind of learned that along the way and you found someone that is knowledgeable enough about the body. And a lot of times you may not find a physical therapist who really knows about hypermobility, but a lot of them do. In my experience, physical medicine docs are generally pretty knowledgeable, but there's some that are more specialized than others too. So that's all really, really helpful advice. I like that they talked about that, because we've never really talked about it yet.
A good PT is worth their weight in gold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A chance encounter with the DPT is actually what kickstarted my whole diagnosis thing. A year beforehand.
Shout out to like counter strain practitioners. If you can find somebody who knows like counter strain, that's what really helped me. It's basically like muscle positional muscle releasing, so you know how there's certain positions that you can put your body into and it will physically cause the muscle to release. It's trained up in that, and then she goes much deeper than that, and figures out how to undo locked muscles. Like really early on, she helped me with my rib, because I had kind of folded the cartilage on my rib cage while I was foam rolling one day, and it really hurt. It was like my cartilage kind of rolled up and pinched up into it, and she was able to like figure it out and tease it out, and just I don't know. Anyways, counter strain, and yeah, it's awesome.
I saw something really cool. They just added to the EDS conference morning fascia sessions with Jenny DeBon. So
what time?
Oh, that's cool.
It's like at 7:30. So
First off, I would highly recommend, like, if anybody is like, who do I need to like, who to trust? Jeannie DeBon's a good one.
Well, so that's what made me think of that. Is
not at 7:30 in the morning.
If you don't have access to care, or your insurance has stopped covering your PT copays, there are resources online. We should, in the best case scenarios,
my DPT wouldn't come on because of where she works. And
we can, you can get care.
I asked.
Not all of us can get care or afford care. There are some really helpful resources online. That was the first hypermobility, physical body work experience I got, was from YouTube, from Jenny DeBon, while I was trying to find like a provider. So if that's a issue where you are, that's a good resource to share with your specialist if you have access to care too. So
Yeah, and physical therapy and doing your daily exercises and kind of going back to my like little three basic steps, it gives you a little bit of that sense of control because when the anxiety, because I learned to use anxiety as a motivator, right? And so I would always say, well, if I'm anxious, let me go do something that's going to solve whatever's making me anxious. We
Well,
can't solve
that's the
EDS.
lesson in learning to listen to your body and your feelings, right? It's like, okay, if I'm feeling anxious, that means I need to go. What do I need to go do, right?
Well, and it was driving me crazy having that kind of anxiety of like, I'm waiting for an appointment. That's the next thing. Or, I'm waiting to see somebody because you're always waiting, yes, on something. And so learning to not, what am I getting back to? Oh, I got distracted. Okay, so the takeaway is, when you do those three things, when I do those three things, and I know that I like have eaten well that day, I've meditated, I've worked out, then that's like the most that I can do. I've done everything that I can do, and everything else is out of my control, so I'm not going to worry about it. That's been huge for me on the anxiety side.
Nice. So, Doug, how else do you manage symptoms?
I try to keep moving. I've made some huge life changes as part of the whole diagnosis thing, and
Mm-hmm.
even before that, like I was the sort of fat 6 foot tall kid my whole life. Or like right before COVID, I was almost 300 pounds,
Yeah,
and
I
then
was 250. Yeah.
yeah, and somewhere right along there, I see my normal physician every 6 months. So I saw her like 3 months before COVID started, and then 3 months into COVID, I saw her again, and she said, "Wow, not only are you the first person I've seen that hasn't gained weight since all this started, you've lost 40 pounds in 6 months."
Yeah. Yep.
And that
Same story.
that that yeah, and that was kind of the whole realization of the chronic dehydration. I figured out that um, when my body was telling me what I thought was I was hungry, I was thirsty.
You were misinterpreting those signals.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know what it was for
Common.
me? You'll appreciate this, Doug, as an engineer. I thought of it like an engineer. I figured that's how I made POTS make sense. Your heart's a pump, your brain is the control unit,
Yep.
and it's sending the signal to the pump to pump blood efficiently, but the system isn't going to allow it. It's got parts of your piping system that are bogged down, stretched out, congested, other parts that are, you know, too tense and pumping too fast, and it's a whole
Everything's
it was a
off.
whole mess.
So, Doug,
Yeah.
when you went through that pandemic weight loss, were you had already
Yeah.
figured out that your hunger and your thirst cues were crossed, and so this is how you were losing weight, or were you?
Well, yeah. So that was part of it. I drastically increased my water intake because I figured out I was dehydrated. And that was a whole like fighting the pot symptoms. But then, as a result of that, as a result of drinking all that water, I noticed that I was not eating near as much anymore. I was not feeling snacky. The
So
weight
the
just
weight loss
started.
wasn't really intentional; it was just kind of a byproduct, and then you were like, "Oh, wait, I can do this."
Yeah, it's sort
Yeah.
of like
Yeah.
I'd wanted to lose weight my whole life, but I could never figure out how to do it, and then all of a sudden it started happening,
Mm-hmm.
and I sort of divined the recipe, from that, um, and then also decided or figured out, I guess, that protein made me feel better and
Yep.
carbs made me feel like crap.
Yep.
So as a result,
Okay.
I don't know, what are we, like 4 years later, 3 years later, um, I'm now 100. I'm now 150 pounds. I'm still 6 foot tall. I eat 150 to 160 grams of protein a day. I drink a gallon and a half of water. I eat what most cardiologists would freak out at in an
Yep.
amount of salt a day,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I feel better
Framingham
than I
study is
ever.
junk.
and I feel better than I ever have in my life.
That's awesome.
That's really helpful information, and thank you for sharing. Maybe our younger zebras can start down a path to understanding how their body works.
Well, I think you said something really important that I've heard my entire life, but I didn't understand why. And a big thing for me is I need to know why to do something. Otherwise, I don't care.
I won't do it.
So often I had heard, oh, well, if you feel hungry, drink some water. And like, it's not, oh, because your brain might be sending you weird signal. Like I guess it's never explicitly put in terms like your brain might be tricking you, right? Like, because it legit felt like hunger to me because I had never been taught
and I think that happens to neurotypical people as well.
Well,
but
true.
I think
I would have probably deliberately tried the water trick.
Yes. I do believe our autistic proprioception is more pronounced with difficulties with these things, and actually it's very common for ADHD and autistic people to be overweight because of these things. So that's very validating.
And the associated pain due to the comorbid hypermobility.
Yeah. So
but even for me with that water, like if you're hungry and drink some water, drink a glass of water. A glass of water doesn't do anything if you're behind the curve.
Exactly.
Well,
if I'm feeling hungry and water is the answer, I need to drink a half a gallon of water, and then 3 hours later, I won't be hungry.
So that's Doug's hack, really, is to just keep it full.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Go ahead. So I'm curious, when you gentlemen were overweight and you complained about pain or joint pain, did two doctors, did they attribute your weight to the cause?
100%. I've been told since I was 25 that lose weight, you'll feel better. Lose weight, you'll feel better. Finally, at 190 pounds, 180 pounds, I go into my primary physician and say, I've lost 100 pounds. I don't feel better. I feel worse.
Didn't work. Same.
I felt worse after, because I'm about 40 pounds lighter than I was at the beginning of the pandemic.
So that ties into kind of the next question. I'm curious how you as men experience doctor visits with medical providers and professionals, particularly in terms of your symptoms, hypermobility related or comorbids.
It's difficult. It's difficult every time, even with my routine providers. Part of that is my own personal background traumas, but what I have to do, and that's not an exaggeration, it's a have to. I mean, the last time I did it went badly, but I have to bring my wife to my appointments, or I haven't needed to bring anybody else, but if I needed to, I would bring somebody else with me, because I have encountered medical personnel so many times, especially when I was first getting diagnosed, that I had by memory kind of answers that my mouth would almost give without my body really stepping in the way and saying, hey, actually, you do feel that, right? Because we disconnect and disassociate those feelings away for so long that, you don't actually identify that you have that much pain or whatever the case may be. And having my wife there to hold me accountable and say, no, Brian, remember, you slept like crap the last 4 days. You can't say that you're sleeping great. Yeah. Unreliable narrator. That's what I am.
Yeah. Because we self-gaslight.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. But, I mean, to cope. Yeah.
Well, yeah. But I self-gaslight at home, not at the doctor's office.
No. Yeah. But also, it's we put it out of our mind, so it's no longer.
Well, right. There. But so. What about you, Brandon?
He's the closest to diagnosis. Yeah. What was it like?
I've generally learned to go into doctor's appointments almost with hostility. I also bring my partner with me because when I try to come in and I sound very organized with my thoughts, and I feel like doctors interpret organization and knowledge as intimidation, like I'm trying to
Mhm.
do something against them, when in actuality I'm just trying to find out what is
You're
wrong.
looking for answers. You're not
But
looking to
yes.
go in there to be like, I know more than you. You're like, hey, I need some help. Here are some ideas.
How do I be assertive and knowledgeable?
And
not be-
there are just some providers that will not let you speak if you don't meet their, I don't know, social norm perception.
you don't
That's
Megan-
exactly
your
what it
ego
is.
a little bit.
The advocate, the patient advocate, and she's a board certified patient advocate. She has had doctors yell at her and tell her that absolutely not, you can't even come and be with this patient in this appointment.
So
I will say that never happens to me. I have never even, like, my VA disability like claim appointments where, you know, like normally it's pretty much just you and a doctor.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, nope, she's coming in and you know, so I don't know.
Does your partner speak up also? Or just like
Oh, he does all the
reaffirm?
talking. He's a chatterbox.
That's-
He's been trying to talk here right now. He's over
Well-
there just like
Hi. Hi, Brandon's partner.
but he very much advocates for me. He says, open up your notes app, write everything that's ever gone wrong with your life ever. Read it to them. If they ignore you, read it again.
That's good.
And
oh,
God
No,
bless
well,
that
no,
man.
actually, that
He
might
puts up
not be good.
so
That might
much.
get you in more trouble.
I don't know
part
if
of my
we should
problem
trauma
with
dump on every doctor, right? We gotta
Look,
choose.
I'll say this: I argued with the psych ward doctors that I wasn't bipolar for 16 days. I finally said, "Okay, fine," and then they let me go. So, I learned the hard way that sometimes you just have to give in.
Yeah. I would have struggled to do that too, but I get it.
Yes. The doctor told me you need to submit to me. That's what she said. Ugh, God,
Ooh.
disgusting.
Ew. No, thank you.
That's very telling of how she views her patients.
It
Don't
was.
let her
it
put you
was-
under anesthesia.
Oh god.
or try.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Well, they
yeah.
did. They put him on
Unfortunately,
the
they just gave her.
Eldol.
You
No,
know,
I just meant
court-
that
court
doctor was like,
authority to-
submit to me.
Yeah.
Chemical restraints. That's what they're called. Court ordered chemical restraints.
Yeah.
What about you, Doug?
Sorry.
Yeah.
No, I'm not I don't want to lose because I don't know. I'll have a different thought
squirrel.
and we'll forget.
We'll
See, I already
squirrel.
started it. Doug,
No, I
tell me about your
get that.
appointment.
I get that. Just like Brandon was saying, I'm still trying to figure out the ways in which I am not the same as everybody else, and I'm
Yeah.
still finding out ways like almost daily. Like, oh, this
In
is
shock,
that
right?
way for you. Your eyes don't burn the moment you step outside into bright sunlight. You know, all this stuff.
Wait.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Cry.
you didn't know
It
that
hurts
one,
when you
Brandon?
cry too.
Didn't
There
know
you
that one.
Oh, honey. Are you nearsighted? Are you nearsighted? Did you get glasses when you were little?
No, my family didn't
Who
do
drives
doctors.
at night for you?
Okay, but now, yeah, how's night driving? Starburst? Got astigmatism?
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That one too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
and do your
fun.
eyelashes stab do your own eyelashes stab you in the eye?
I'm curious. Do you guys have multiple rows of eyelashes?
No.
No.
Oh, lucky.
I don't know, but my wife is very jealous of my eyelashes.
You probably
Didn't,
do.
yeah.
My eyelashes actually will brush my glasses from the inside.
Yeah, mine too.
Oh, you bitch.
That's why I hate glasses outside of the pinching.
It drives me nuts because it makes streaks on my glasses.
So, double rows of eyelashes is known to happen with genetic disorders and connective tissue disorders. And actually, so I have it, but mine also go the wrong direction. So I could wear mascara every day or else I go crazy. But did you know Elizabeth Taylor had like that's why her eyelashes were like so beautiful like that, and it's their eye shoes in the EDS. Or anyhow, sorry.
Well, she did have violet
Interesting.
eyes, which
Yeah.
also,
Interesting. So my back to the doctor appointment thing, I guess.
yeah.
My experiences before diagnosis and then now that EDS and POTS and some other things are very prominent on my chart is very, very different.
Mm-hmm.
You know, before it was you lose weight, you'll feel better. You know, eat better, you'll feel better. Hydrate, you'll feel better. Your blood pressure's high. You know, cut out the salt, you'll feel better. All that stuff. Now
Cut out.
that
That's
I've
like the worst advice. Cut out the salt.
yeah. Now now that like weight is an excuse because I'm, you know, half these doctors are telling me that I'm underweight, but I feel awesome. But also that EDS is prominent on my chart. Pretty much anything I bring up as a new issue, they say, "Oh, well, that's just because of EDS." Okay,
Yep.
you know.
But then,
But
what
they-
do we
So
do?
Do they
it's
believe
still
you
not-
or?
Yeah, they believe me, but it's
But the point is that they write it
Yeah.
off as a symptom. They don't try to treat it.
It depends. Yeah,
Mhm.
it's just sort of written off just the same almost.
Yeah.
I experience that too, and I almost wonder if it feels like you can never make enough appointments to catch all of the issues at once. And by the time that you get to the next appointment, the profile has changed, and so now you've got like, you know, that's part of the problem.
Yeah.
And then part of it, I think, is very much like this, you know, professional. This is part of us being different and going to the doctors all the time. Is like most people go to the doctor, and if, you know, they have an injury or something and it clears up, they may not see the doctor again for like 3 years or something like that. You know, we're in there pretty frequently, and I forget where I was going with that. Brain fog. Oh my goodness. I'm sorry, I lost the thread on that one, guys. Continue. My bad.
Normal, absolutely normal.
Yep. I will say, the surgeries that I've had, the nerve releases. So, Brandon, have you seen my videos?
I haven't been on TikTok a lot recently. I've just been really busy.
So, the reason I ask is because my entire channel is just about my surgeries. So there's some people who like know, and then there's other, you know, the rest of the world who does not know. So, right. But basically, my TikTok channel has just been about these nerve releases that I've had done by Dr. Erickson. Dr. Erickson, he is the lead author. If you go to the Ehlers-Danlos website for the orthopedic and joint care management section, he's the lead author for that paper. He's written a new book recently called Symptomatic. It's really expensive. I haven't bought it yet, but it's supposed to be all about EDS. But he's done 3,000 surgeries of these upper arm surgeries. They call them the Erickson Special, where he cuts a piece of fascia here to free up like congestion. And he cuts another band of fascia here because if you don't have control of the tip of your fingers and your thumb, it's because this nerve is getting pinched. And so he frees up this nerve, and then he does all kinds of stuff in my wrist, and then he like redid my thumb. So he took a tendon from here and like drilled a hole into my thumb and rewired the way that it like works mechanically. And he like fixed all my tendons because they used to roll off of my knuckles, and now they don't. And it's given me so much like relief back here. It's not like all gone. I still have a lot of pain just from like, but it doesn't feel like the same pain that I used to have where it felt like I was in a sausage casing. Is that how you feel a little bit?
How do I describe how I feel? I used a Daniel, help me. What did what was that metaphor I said that one time that you were like, ooh, say that again?
don't remember.
Ah, damn it.
Your legs hurt a lot and your back hurts a lot, not your arms.
I mean,
Okay.
my
So for my
shoulders would
legs,
hurt me a lot. And it's still,
yeah. So I had basically the same thing. The nerve releases. Imagine my forearm is a calf and my hand is a foot. I had the same basic nerve releases around my knees done.
I'm just so scared of the doctors. I've had so many bad experiences. I don't want them to touch me.
Yeah.
So
It's
you're just out there living our dream of being ripped apart to be put back together again. But that's still, I mean, all those surgeries, it's expensive and traumatic, that sort of thing. But so you
it
guys,
is.
I mean, you got to have surgery though with someone who literally is writing the book.
I know. Yeah. And that
brought
is
up a great resource. So the resource is if you go to the EDS Society directory, of course, and as well as like there's local groups and that sort of thing to help us find doctors that are maybe more experienced with dealing with hypermobile humans, that sort of thing. Like Brandon's story, I think, is unique in that he got diagnosed by a pain physician. So, you know, do you
And
guys?
he knows a lot about EDS. He's actually on the EDS website as a recommended doctor to see.
Gotcha.
Oh,
I
good.
didn't know that
That's awesome.
when I booked the appointment.
Hold on. Is it Dr. Chopra?
It's Dr. Carlisi,
Oh, okay. Wait, where are you located?
Connecticut.
Oh, well, where's Dr. Chopra's in
Chopra's in
Delaware?
Yeah, somewhere in the middle.
Okay. And he's also a pain doctor, which is why.
Yeah, I don't think Chopra's even seeing patients.
What happened to Doug?
He said be right back.
Oh, okay.
So do you guys ever feel like that your gender plays a role in how doctors perceive your experience with EDS? Like, have they questioned that or anything?
Well,
So this is a weird take. I'm going to say it actually benefited us because whenever I would present something to a doctor, they usually didn't jump right to anxiety, right to like, oh no, you just have a heavy flow. No, I can't use that one on
the
me.
hysterical woman. I gotcha.
Yeah.
I was so in the Marine Corps, the running joke is, take ibuprofen and, change your socks, right? There's healthcare, but is it available?
So let me ask you this, because former military environment, I wasn't active duty, but I was around enough of them. Would they say stuff like, do you need to change your tampon or, stuff like that? Did they use a negative? Did they try to put a negative feminized spin on your pain, or did they just?
I grew up because I was socialized in such a way, like
You did not accept that.
Yeah, exactly. No one's gonna come up to me and say that. Like, it's just, but I've lived my life that way. Even as a kid, I was fighting other kids in backyards since I was, I love to fight. So like, you want to come and talk, go ahead, say some smack. I mean, I
forgot about all the martial arts you had done before.
I think it's funny. A lot of us are a little feisty. And
then I also backed it up by, being the honor graduate in boot camp and having a serious overachiever complex, right? 4.0 in college. I was driven to be socially approved despite my eccentricities, right?
Yeah.
And it worked. Nobody will talk shit to me now.
Overachievers or underachievers now? Or is that a mean question?
I'm a former overachiever.
I consider myself a recovering overachiever. Like
I say former because I'm never going to work the way that I worked before I knew.
that's not what I value now.
Yeah. But I can
Yes.
still pull that out, you know. And so it's not recovering like, you know, it's going to kill me to do it. No, I can turn it on and turn it off.
Yeah.
It's somewhat.
So that's an important point, that we have to face ourselves or prioritize where we put our energy and efforts in life.
Yeah.
I'm not an engineer, so I'm definitely not an anything achiever.
That doesn't.
Hey, that's not how it works.
That's an achievement in engineering. I'm sure you have many achievements in other subjects, because I'm not an engineer.
Yeah. I excelled in, I'm one of those, autism is a spectrum. I represent part of the spectrum that blends in really well, but either by, you know, socialization or upbringing or genetically, you know, and I fail miserably in so many other areas of my life, you know. So it really is a, don't compare. Comparison is the thief of joy.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
And
Just like-
Brandon is a high achiever. He's a very funny, hilarious person. I think he has more TikTok followers than me. I'm just saying.
Do I follow Brandon?
Probably not. I'm not that relevant.
Yeah. See,
Me neither.
this is his brand of humor. But my point is, a lot of us are very creative, expressive people too, and I think that's why we found each other, because we're in, you know, obviously the algorithm finds Kitty's distraction. The algorithm finds us hypermobile people and puts us together, but also finds us creatives and puts us together. Anyhow, Brandon's fucking hilarious, so don't sell yourself short.
Yeah. I'm gonna find you since this is over.
Is that a threat? Am I safe?
No, it's not a threat. Not a threat at all. I'm a very
I mean,
friendly
if
person.
I'm gonna die, like, can I make some requests? I just want to be shot into a barn, just the broadside of a barn.
Look, I'm in your herd, baby. We're all in the dazzle together.
I hate that word.
Dazzle.
So you love that one password I made? I'll change it.
I hate the word dazzle. Can we? I'm so sick of zebras.
Just for that, I'm gonna make it razzle dazzle lazzle lama ding dong! Exclamation point. So, okay, so we've talked about a little bit the supports and things you guys do. Did we answer that? Did I skip Doug again?
No.
I don't know. I went to pee and I
Ask
didn't
the
know.
question. Yeah, you're good.
I don't know.
You took a.
This is why I like being the side person that just interrupts weirdly.
She's my side chick. Oh no, wait, that's not what that means, is it?
I don't think I'm. Anyway, I'm nobody's
Sidekick. Sidekick.
Yes, I could be your
Sidekick,
side.
yeah.
I almost said side tit. Side tit. No.
Side boob. I got good side boob. That's not this show.
It's a whole different thing.
Wait, which?
Okay.
Brown chicken, brown cow. See you in 2 weeks.